fatal heart impact, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and past. I back up my actions, fact don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet now. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, whenever we last left off, with this series, quite a bit of things have happened. In the last part, Deku and his crew traveled 9 months through space to get to Yautja Prime. In this amount of time, not only has Deku been increasing the training regimen of his worst soldiers, he's been getting them better prepared for combat situations, and even certain forms of training that many of them, they've either been trained to work on or have been able to improve upon. With Deku and Aki's guidance and help, they're actually able to make great strides. And that's something that Deku he does thoroughly enjoy. Since the fact is, Deku and his crew, they're starting to become a bit more in the light to the Yautja. There's not really any humans left out there. And the ones the Yautja are looking at, they just so happen to have access to predator technology. And that's something that many of them, they are quite interested in. Now, with that being said, Deku, he got the predator dreadlocks in the last part. He also has something on his head, or at least on one of his dreadlocks, that do show that he is actually a clan leader. And with the fact that whenever he does step off of his ship, and many Yautja do see the amount of gear he is wearing, many of them are immediately able to tell his status. Since, well, it's kind of strange, it's not abnormal. A member of any species could become a member of the Yautja's, well, hunting parties. However, the fact that one is currently leading a clan is what does strike them as odd. And Deku, after he is talking to a Yautja, and the Yautja, it is at least going to look back to Aki and then look back towards Deku, he is actually able to tell. Aki is actually part of this human's clan, or this human could be part of her clan, and he helped her take down a queen. That's something that the Yautja is actually particularly interested in. And you do actually have where the Yautja does turn and ask Izuku a few questions, since he himself is intrigued. And Deku, he does at least try to inform the Yautja about a few things, as you do have where after his crew is given the all clear, and the ship is thoroughly pulled into port, his vessel is docked, and then they do start to get off. And the Yautja, they all do see it. There are multiple humans on Yautja Prime. This is unprecedented. But then there also is something that people, they do take notice of. Whenever a human steps out of the ship, and they're not wearing any gear. And that's something that Deku, he does actually turn to David and look at him. As David does turn to Deku and ask him exactly what's wrong. David, you're not going to wear a helmet? I'll be fine. The temperature increase on this planet is rather high, however. But I believe I will be fine. My systems shouldn't suffer too much from it. Yeah, but your systems will still suffer from it, right? I mean, I can get you some of this clothes. The fishnets. David, they're temperature regulators, okay? Right now, I've actually got mine set to a low temperature to counteract the heat. Anyways, do you want one? Your systems could suffer from it. I will let you know. I did not plan to go too far from the ship. In fact, I did plan to talk to some Yautja and ask some questions. Now, Deku, whenever everyone else they are at least looking around and asking a few questions to Deku, he does quietly try and calm them down. As you do have whenever Deku he's walked up to by another Yautja, he does look up and see a Yautja that's very large. He can't tell, but he's pretty sure it might be as large as Vodach or Vodacha. And this is something that Deku, he does stare up at the large Yautja, and like she's going to drop down, and Deku does going to do the same thing. As many other people behind Deku, they all do go to follow. And the moment the elder Yautja or the other Yautja does go to respond, Deku and his crew they do stand. And Deku does look up to the man, as the man he does go to at least give a nod and go to walk by. And Deku, he is kind of confused, as whenever he does look to a key, she is just going to look towards him and say the word ancient. And that's something that Deku, he remembers her talking about. That was an ancient Yautja. And if he's correct, those guys, hell, you don't want to mess with them. They're practically gods. Now, if Deku remembers correctly, in ancient Yautja, they're a Yautja who has been through so much combat in their life. Bloodshed, battle, and constant life or death situations. Yet, they're still able to make it to old age. They retire. In fact, they're basically teachers. They guide other people. They even help other clans. They can go out on their own and still hunt. Hell, they're highly respected. And that's something that Deku does at least look at. A Yautja can grow old, but it takes millennia. That's something that Deku he's intrigued by. The Yautja aren't immortal, but they're damn near not like humans. Now, Deku he does linger on that thought, as you do have where a vessel does come by the docking bay and at least go to wave over Deku. And whenever Deku does walk over, you do actually have where the Yautja and Deku do start talking. Before Deku, he does walk back over and go to bring his hand up, waving his crew away. And the crew, they all do pile back onto the ship, and Deku and Aki, they do go to meet with somebody. Whenever somebody they are annoyed, they do try to message Deku. However, he does at least send out a radio-wide broadcast informing them all to stay on the ship since he has to go talk to someone. Now, as Deku and Aki they do leave, we do actually have where Aki, she actually is looking around. And she is actually paying a bit more attention to other things. And Deku he does notice this, as he does ask her exactly what's on her mind. I'm looking here. I haven't, well, it's just, this is supposed to be my home. But it's so strange. I know. It's, very similar to my planet in a weird sort of way. What do you mean, Scar? Well, on Earth, the planet is your home. Most people consider the country they're born in their home. But when you go to another one, it feels like a completely different place, world even. Language is different, mannerisms could mean anything else. Hell, something we consider to be okay could be indecent or just, well, seen as totally rude over there. I see. Your human planet was weird. Yeah, I know. At the same time, though, it's just the Yautja, they don't seem to be that way. No. About half the world is covered in swamp and the other half is covered in deserts. Hot, dry human climates. Deku at least going to stand up and look over the side of the large craft. They're flying overhead and Deku can see the large city below them. It's quite apparent that this place, yeah, it must be the desert. Otherwise, they'd be building the foundation on a swamp. It's just so hard to believe. Hell, this place, it's just so beautiful. It's a bronze type of sky, and the water doesn't reflect the same way because it's a bit darker, but damn, this place has its own natural beauty. That being the thoughts running through Deku's mind. And Aki, she does stare at Deku for a minute. While Deku may not be able to breathe the atmosphere and he's covering his face with a mask, she can at least wonder and tell what he might be thinking. And we do actually have where Deku, after him and Aki, they do step off the vehicle. You do, however, they're in front of a very large building. And Aki, she does notice the building, and then she is going to actually throw herself down and go to pay respect to it. As you do, however, Deku, he does go to do the same thing, and he does go to wait for Aki to stand. He's trying to follow her lead here. And whenever the two of them, they do go to stay like this for at least a few minutes or so, Deku, he does go to try and speak to Aki. However, you do actually have where Aki, she does go to make a shushing noise, as two elite predators, they do come walking up. And whenever Deku, he does hear their footsteps, you do have where he does try to look up with his mask. And the predators, yeah, they do stop in front of them and at least go to ask exactly what is a human doing here, and what is she doing here, them insulting her by calling her a little one. Now, this is something that Deku, he does actually take notice of. However, he does try to keep his composure because he does notice their particular armor type. Now, whenever Aki, she is going to try and dismiss that, talking about how they're here to look into the ports of the engineer vessel, you do actually have where the elite predator, it does go to somewhat start laughing, expressing to her that she has no, at all, reason to seek a counsel with the elders of Yautja Prime. And that's something that Deku, he does hear about, as he actually is going to ask a question in Yautja, which does catch them off guard. Him asking exactly what would they have to do to be able to seek counsel with them. As you do actually where the Yautja does ask him to rise. Deku going to stand back up, as he does look up towards the Yautja. And the Yautja, it does look Deku over for a minute, as it does realize that Deku, he is a clan leader. I see, you must be formidable. Yes, sir, I am. Deku would at least bring his head down. As the elite predator, it does start to inform Deku. The elder of this clan, they do not have time, nor do they have reason to seek counsel with them. Their clan has not proven that they have any reason to be involved in this. And Deku, he does just go to bring up his hand and go to pressing on his wrist gauntlet. As whenever the predator, it does go to make a swift movement that Deku, he couldn't even really pick up. It does go to bring a blade up to his throat. As Deku, while he's still holding his hand out, he does just go to talk about how he does have information that they might want to see. And Deku, after he's going to bring up his hands, he does inform the Yautja that it can grab the information directly from the slot on his gauntlets, and it can look over the information. The Yautja going to reach out and grab it with two fingers carefully, as it is going to hand the information over to somebody else. And it does talk about how they will look over whatever this is. However, the Yautja going to turn back and talk about how he is interested to hunt another human, and he's wondering if he'll be able to get that chance with this one in front of him. Him asking Deku his name, as Deku does just say that his name is Scar. And the Yautja, it does talk about how that is quite interesting. It then turning to Aki, asking exactly what has this human done to earn this name. And Aki, she does go to start going over a few things, expressing that Scar, he actually is a human that is unlike many others that they have actually ever encountered. And he himself is very impressive. Now, this is something that Aki and Deku, they've both rehearsed over and over and over. She's informed Deku of exactly what they might need to do, and the information they might need to hand over. Now, after the Yautja that took the information is handed over to somebody of a lower status, they do go to take the information and head over to the elders. This is something that both Deku and Ki, they are banking on, since the information Deku he's giving them, it will ultimately change a lot. The Yautja, they like to hunt xenomorphs, and the only place to find xenomorphs are in 5 locations in the entire universe right now, since you can't really make them with humans anymore, since they're now basically labeled as an endangered species. And that's where Deku, he does want to at least pose a solution. Since most Yautja, they might either get reckless or stupid, crash on Yautja, or crash into the Xenomorph planet, or more than likely just a lot of people might die trying to head to one of these homeworlds to fight them. Now, Deku, whenever some time does pass, he does actually have somebody come walking out. And whenever Deku, he's staying there with both the two elite predators, whenever he does watch those two go to throw themselves down immediately, Deku he does go to as well. Him looking down as is going to bring up down both of his hands. And a man, he comes walking right up to Deku. As whenever Deku he does go to see a long pair of claws in his face, with a hand outstretched, he does go to look up and see an older looking Yautja. As the man's dreadlocks, they are white. And Deku, he does go to reach up and go to take the small disc the Yautja does have. Deku taking the information disc and then going to slip it back right into his gauntlet. As the Yautja does inform him to stand and explain. As Deku he does go to stand, he also does at least talk about how his fellow clan leader, Aki, she is with him on this. And she does have a good understanding of it as well, if he does need help understanding more of it, since it's a lot of human terms and mumbo jumbo. And the man, he does just go to look towards the key before he does just go to bring up his hand and go to wave up his fingers, and Aki's just going to jump onto her feet. Deku being led by this older Yautja, as Deku, him and her, or him and Aki, are both standing in front of a large table, where the current clan is running Yautja Prime. Now, let me explain this clan. It's basically the governing force behind everything that goes on in Yautja Prime. These are some of the strongest, smartest, intelligent, skillful, and loyal to the honor code Yautja on Yautja Prime. They were selected by the previous holders of the title of Elders of Yautja Prime. Their clan faced off against another clan who was similar in not only skill, combats, and intelligence, but also in loyalty. Both clans were given access to one hunting ground that this clan had access to before, and neither one of them were told about the other clan. And the other clan, along with their clan, assumed that each other to be bad bloods causing a war. Now, what happened was there was a war, and the winners became the leaders of Yautja Prime. And they weren't even told about this. This was something they were told after the war was over. And these Yautja, they have been running Yautja Prime ever since. And Deku, he's currently standing in front of many of them, as he does go to start speaking, expressing to them that he would like to understand more about the engineer ship he believes they have in their possession. And all the Yautja, they all do go to look at each other, as many of them they do go back to looking at Izuku before they do express that they will not allow him to have access to that ship. I understand this is a matter you have all needs to take care of. However, I myself need to take care of a matter. Human, if this is about your species, your homeworld going extinct, it is more important than that. Elder, I do understand. Right now, this isn't about my homeworld. Human, what is this about then? Information. I wish to know. I want to know if it really is a ship. I want to know if I will be able to track it, track kinds like it. I would like to understand if I'll be able to find more of them. I wish to know the information you have on the engineers. I'm willing to trade for this information. You've seen the data I already gave you. And you do know, or you may not know, that it is possible for what I am explaining to you. Human, the data you've given us is an interesting theory. However, how can we even know if it's truly accurate? Because I'll be willing to prove it right here and right now. Interesting. Now, somebody they do go to speak up. Somebody who hasn't been speaking this entire time. As the Grand Elder of Yautja Prime does speak up in saying that is a very bold claim, especially for something that they don't seemingly understand about his species. Now, Deku he does go to look up towards this man, as it's a Yautja who he can only assume is this clan leader. And that's in the Deku, yeah. He's not even going to question. This man is basically the king of this planet. However, his word isn't complete law. And that's something that Deku does keep in mind. Convincing him will help convince others, however. So he has to make sure he can play this from all sides. Think of it like a battle, Izuku. Okay. Deku going to actually bring up his hand. Deku going to grab onto his gauntlet as if to grab something and go to pull it out. Now, the Yautja they all do watch Deku with bated breath. As Deku he can almost feel the plasma casters aimed at his back. As Deku he does go to inject something, or go to put a needle into his skin before some blood is injected into the needle. And the tube inside does fill up. Deku going to bring it upwards and then go to sit it down on the table in front of him. As he does inform them that his blood, it contains his power. And his specific power is quite simple. His powers allow him to learn very quickly. It is the reason why he's learned their language. It is the reason why he himself is alive. It's the reason why the Yautja have such a hard time killing him. While he is sure that they themselves all here can kill him with ease, that is just it. Given enough time, Deku can learn and adapt to seemingly almost anything. While he has been able to push his powers thanks to the Yautja, he doesn't know how far they truly will go. And that is something that he does wish to know more about, since he understands many things of the Yautja's history, especially from the species that gave them their own technology. And the Yautja they all do look at Deku. As Deku, he doesn't want to delve into those people. He knows that that's a sore subject for the Yautja. The reason why they're a warrior race. The reason why they hunt and fight. The reason why not only are they so strong and advanced, but probably the reason why they live for so long as well. The race that enslaved the Yautja and turned them into bloodthirsty gladiators for their own entertainment, experimented on them like animals and made them what they are today. Deku knows all too well. If he gives them this information, then maybe, he can at least start to know. If he shows he knows things, if he shows he has his own information, his own sources, then there's a chance. Now, you do actually have where something happens and the little container does roll across the table and directly to a Yautja. As they look over what Deku's blood does contain, and they do see it's abnormal from regular human blood. As you do actually have where Deku he does tell them to let him inject that or even put his DNA sequences into a xenomorph. Now, this does catch them off guard, as you do even have a key. She herself does look directly at Deku as he does get to look back at her. And the moment that a Yautja does speak up asking why, Deku he does look back at them, expressing to them that then they will see exactly how dangerous one of those things can truly be. And that's something that a Yautja, it does want to start bursting out laughing with. Now, with that being said, one of the Yautja, they are remaining silent, and everybody they are looking around at each other, as Deku can assume that they're speaking through their masks to each other. And we do actually have where the Yautja Grand Elder, he does go to stand up and then go to stab down his spear into the ground. As the loud echoing does catch people's attention, and he does go to pass judgment on the current case, expressing that human named Scar will be given this simple idea. They will feed into his little delusion and see if it truly does work. He himself is curious since in all his lifetime, he's never seen a xenomorph capable of higher thoughts. And if this xenomorph does show that it is tactful, or even more dangerous than a regular xenomorph, they will gladly, at least, work a bit more with the humans. And possibly in the future, if other humans do possess these similar sorts of powers, they may be able to trade and create more dangerous breeds of xenomorph to hunt. And that's something that Deku, while he is aware it may not be a good idea, he's already aware as to how dangerous certain xenomorph are. And the fact is, yeah, he's not even too sure if those things can really sustain powers like the humans can. And Deku, he does at least go to throw this idea out there and express it to the Yautja. And the Yautja, once they do hear about that part, well, they do actually get a bit more skeptical. As you do have where instead of them going to do this the normal way with human blood, and the idea of just cloning a xenomorph, you do have where they do express to Deku that they're going to have to be going through this the traditional way. Now, Deku, he is somewhat able to understand this. The traditional way a xenomorph is born. This is something that Deku, he's not too sure if he'll like. Since the Yautja elders, they do express to Deku that they're going to implant him with a xenomorph embryo, and, well, yeah. Before it does mature fully, they're going to rip it out of him surgically, and then let it continue to grow. And Deku, while that is something that he's glad he won't have to experience it ripping through his own body, he's still not too sure if this process for going through it is going to be worth it. However, he does begrudgingly agree. And the Yautja, they are actually a bit more surprised that he's able to do so, as we do have where he's informed about what's going to happen to him. And we do have where he's headed back to his ship, and the Yautja, they do at least tell him a bit of things, also expressing to him that if his tribe does need more honor, and does want some more authority on Yautja Prime, they need to hunt down more Nest, kill more queens, kill more creatures, and become more noteworthy. And that's something that Deku, he does actually go to agree on. Him expressing that the Bad Bloods have been attacking his planet, and his people, they've been pushed back a bit. As Deku, he also at least does express to them that if there are any ships that do contain human colonists on them, and or are just humans in space, he would like them to please let him know, and he will happily bring them back to his planet. Him expressing to them that his people are broken up in space, and right now they're all adrift. Now, the Yautja, they do take this into consideration. And we do actually have our Deku, after heading back to his ship, on the right there, he is still nervous. He's not really paying attention to a lot of things that Aki's staring at. However, right now, Aki, she's just staring at Deku. And she herself is worried. Deku, he's about to go through something that most people, they either experience and die, or they experience and they would rather never go through it again. Now, with that, we do actually have where everybody, they, on the ship, are kind of surprised when Deku just come back. And he's carrying a large metal box that he doesn't want to talk about. A lot of people are confused, since they think, oh yeah, our noble captain's coming back to give us the good information. He's gonna sit us all down and talk to us. However, he seemed a lot more quiet, a lot more, well, fearful to say the least. And you do actually have where even Aki herself didn't want to talk, as we do currently have in a medical bay, or the med room, where Aki she's locked the door. And she's at least expressed to Deku about what is going to be happening. As Aki, whenever she does go to walk over to a panel, she does go to turn off security cameras. And she even does go to turn off the visor of her mask, as she's going to pull it off. Her turning back around as Deku is currently laying on a table, and he himself has been strapped down. As Aki does ask him if he's really sure this is a good idea. Aki, just open the box. Scar, this is dangerous, isn't it? It is, but it needs to be done. Scar, this is, well, it's fucking insane. I know. I know. Just, let's get this over with. Now, Aki, she is going to grab one of Scar's hands. And she also does at least go to give him a kiss, expressing to him after backing away that the process here is not going to be fun. As she is going to press a button and the table Deku's laying on, it does go to come upwards and start to even out. Deku's feet finally getting closer to the ground as Akisha is going to open the box up with a button and go to step back as far away as she can. As Deku, he does go to close his eyes for what's coming. As you do have where the xenomorph egg in front of him, it does start to open up and a facehugger does start to scurry around inside. As whenever Deku, he does think it's about to latch onto him, he does want to go and try to fight back. He does go to somewhat flinch and hesitate a lot. And whenever Deku, he does think that, oh yeah, it hasn't opened yet, he does go to open his eyes and go to look down. The moment he does, the thing just immediately just goes to jump outwards and onto his face, right before Deku could even have time to scream. And after Deku, he does go to fight it a lot, and try to at least go to fight against his restraints, feeling his adrenaline spike up. You do actually have Rakishi's monitoring his vitals. And even a lot of people, they do hear the commotion that's going on inside that room, since for a minute they thought they heard a scream. However, yeah, we do even have David, who, he actually is watching the information play on. And he's watching everything, since he is looking through the cameras. Aki might have been able to turn them off remotely, but he had access to the actual grid. And he does find it to be fascinating. A human and a Yautja. An interesting combination. However, his focus is currently on the egg, the implantation process. He needs to know more. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.